Hello out there. I'm sorry I'm 2 minutes late. It's been a little hectic today. Joel had his last procedure, thank God, and they finally pulled the hose out. Yahoo! So, it's a great thing, by the way, if you didn't know that. So I'm just adjusting a little bit because I set up a little bit in a hurry because we've been up and down the hill and back and forth all day, and it's sometimes how it is, right? And I'm here, and I'm happy to be here with you guys, and I think I'm ready to go, and if not, we'll figure it out, right? So, for those of you just joining me, my name is Johnny Daniel. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, independent demonstrator. I do craft classes regularly in the high desert in California. And soon to be doing virtual classes as well, so that is what we are working on. We'll just say that. So I'm actually really grateful to be here and for things to hopefully be getting back to normal, whatever that might be. And I'm trying to see if I'm adjusted correctly so we can see everything. I have a couple tips for you and one new technique. Well, it may not be new for everybody, but new to the video. And we will just see what we get, right? So, as always. And we should be good, right? So, alrighty. So for tonight, we're going to be doing some watercolor painting to kind of follow from last week's watercoloring. But first, wanted to give you a couple of tips. For those of you that have Paper Pumpkin, so Brianne, Rhonda, not sure who else, but anybody else that got this kit or wants to get it, because I do have one extra because I always order an extra one. The bag folds over really nicely. The arrow tucks in. However, I glued this thing down with tear tape. I glued it down with a glue dot. I glued it down with multi-purpose glue. You name it, I did it. Even hot glue. Did not work. Kept popping up. The only thing I found that worked was before you glue this on and before you put your heart on, I stapled that thing so that way this didn't move too much. And what I would do is staple it and then put your heart on so it could cover the backing. That is the only way I have found for it to actually do what it's supposed to do and stay down so not all your chocolates fall out, right? So that's about what I'm dealing with, and just wanted to give you a heads up so that way if you do have this kit, staple that sucker. That's all I can say. So some things you just gotta put some force into, right? So, alrighty, so that's that. I wanted to show you a close-up of the bag I made. And no, I did not remember how the punch board worked, so 4 pieces of paper later. And, Joel, how does this work? Help me. Yeah. So, really cute bag. The doilies from Stampin' Up! Are very vanilla on one side and Whisper White on the other. If you want to do any coloring, meaning change this from a white to a red for Valentine's Day, I'd recommend doing it on the white side because then your color stays much truer. Sorry about that. Also, curled some ribbon and did that by wrapping it around a dowel and heating it like a curling iron would with the heat tool, and I thought it was pretty cute. So, and it's a little bit bigger than the Paper Pumpkin, so if you don't order the Paper Pumpkin, or if you want more chocolate, which would be my excuse, then that. So, So this is the ribbon that I curled, if any of you are wondering. It'll work on anything that is not all natural fibers, so nothing 100% cotton, but this is the gold satin ribbon we have. So just wanted to let you know, and yes, I did a few extras, of course, right? So, alrighty, so tonight we are going to, and wrapped it on a pencil that blistered a little bit. Make sure you don't heat it too much. So tonight we are going to be doing water painting. I'm using the shimmery white just like we did last week. However, I will say you can also use the watercolor paper. You can use Whisper White, but I wouldn't recommend it only because it piddles a little bit more. So we are going to do this. We are going to use the spritzer, and I've got Melon Mambo in Real Red because I'm thinking Valentine's Day. Now this is also a good way to color your paper. For instance, if you ordered this stuff and went, it's vanilla and all I have is white, you can color your paper so that way you can still use what you have instead of having to order more. You know, we're always trying to figure out corners, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your favorite inkers. Holly, if you ever watch this, you're going to grab your orange or your Calypso Coral, and you're going to grab a couple different shades. So that way you have some depth to this. And what you're going to do is just do drops. And it doesn't look like anything, right? That is the goal right at the moment. And this is the Melon Mambo. So we are going to do a couple drops. See, it doesn't even look different, does it? And what we're going to do... Alrighty. So what we're going to do is take this mister, and I'm going to get the cap off. This does fit on the other end, but honestly I'll usually forget and just lay it here. So whatever. I'm going to take it to the side and just get the pump started because I did just refill it. We're going to move these, and simply you are going to spritz. And you're going to do a couple and then let it kind of run and see what you get. This is also good for making eyeballs during Halloween time. If you don't have, you know, a tree stamp or something that you can look at spooky stuff. So these aren't running enough, so I'm going to do a couple more. Ooh, there we go. So that's what I'm looking at. Make sure you use an older scrap mat or grid paper because you're going to need it. And if you want less of the drop kind of look, then there's several different ways to do it, but honestly, to me, not that big a deal because I'm going to drop more and it'll be fine. So the paper will, as it dries, it'll curl back down, so you'll be fine. And this is a little bit more of that Melon Mambo. If you don't like the idea of the dots at all, you can pre-wet the paper just a tiny bit, so that way it runs a little more, but you're going to end up using more ink. So it just really depends on the kind of look you want and what you're going to do. So, okay. So basically you're just going to play with this until it looks right. Yes, really. And that's about it for this technique, believe it or not. And you're going to spritz until it gets to be the right look. And that's about it. Not much to it, thankfully. But kind of a cool technique if you want to make backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. And then if you wanted, like if you're doing a casino night, you could do the dots to make it kind of look like dice. You can, you know, do all kinds of things. So that's what we are looking at with that. And then if you grab your doilies. Alrighty, hold on. Mine are sticking a little bit. we're good now. Alrighty, so here's the Very Vanilla side, and here's the Whisper White side. So all I'm going to do to tie this into this card eventually is grab my Real Red, and I'm going to do a couple of drops, maybe. I want to be a little bit more careful with this, only because there's holes, right? So I'm trying to drip it actually where the paper is and not where the holes are, if that makes sense at all to you guys. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do a little more spritz, and I really wanted to get that so the whole thing was going to turn out red. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. You can take a heat gun and dry it, but honestly, I don't really like that because it kind of destroys the paper. You might want to have gloves if you're antsy about getting your fingers inky, like really inky. Because this is wet and everything else, and there's a lot of ink on it now, usually the grid paper you will get rid of when you're done. So what I do is usually just kind of fold it over, and then I'm just going to leave that dry if I'm happy with it. This is something that you can do when it's late at night, and let it sit overnight, and then come back in the morning and just glue it together, kind of thing. So kind of a cool process, but it does take a little bit. This is not something we really want to do in a class, right? But it is definitely something like at home. You could do a bunch of them and then go watch a movie and come back to it or something. So that works, definitely. So other than that, I'm trying to see what else we got here. I'm going to refresh my computer and see who's out there. There is open day Saturday. If you guys have a whole bunch of stuff that you need to finish, or if you have something specific that you want to learn about, or if you have a product that you've had questions about, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, let's see. What else? February 11th, we are going to have our next card class. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to think really off the top of my head. We're working on Stamp Set of the Month Club because Hostess rotation didn't work all that well. Or didn't go this time, I should say. So, that's another thing we're working on. And I don't know, there's always so much that's going on, isn't there? So anyways, I just wanted to show you this technique. It's called water painting. If you don't like it, that's fine, but a lot of people do. So I just wanted to give you a heads up of something different to do with your re-inkers and your spritzers and all that. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! One, that's okay, but I like the Stampin' Up! One because it's super, super fine. Oh, that's a pretty color. In comparison to... I got a whole bunch of ink on me. But it's super, super fine mist compared to a lot of the ones that are out there on the market. Believe me, I have tried my share. So, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I will be putting this card together probably tomorrow, and then posting it, of course, so you can see the final product. And, well, that's about all I have for tonight. I know it's a little bit quicker than normal, but honestly, I've had kind of a long day. Joel had my husband had his last procedure done today at the hospital, so we left the house at 6:45 this morning, and so I'm a little worn out. Awesome friends and support and everything else, but honestly, I think I'm gonna go watch TV and have some Fireball with my cider, go under a blanket, and probably go to bed early, honestly, which I know isn't like me, but I'm about done. So that's about where I'm at. So, so for those of you that didn't catch me or have friends that are not on Facebook, I am on YouTube under Johnny Stamps. I'll be posting this probably in the morning, but we'll see. I might have a little burst of energy later, but honestly, probably not. And, well, we'll get it all figured out, right? So until next time, I hope to see you Saturday at the open day. And if not, maybe at the card class, and we will get things straightened out and figured out. And talk to you later. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.